Hey there, welcome to part 2 of our AR15 modeling tutorial. I'm Fazal and in this video we will model the hand guard and front sight of our AR15. We will cover the fundamental tools and techniques needed to create these components, so let's get started. We will modeling the hand guard, so for this we will add a flame by Shift A machine flame. Position it like this and make favorite its individual origin and scale and position it like this. So for the hand guard we will add a reference image. Make sure you use in front view and press Shift A image and reference image. You can download the reference image by clicking on the links below in the description. Scale it down so it's a little bigger than the muzzle. Now select the image and move it to new collection by M and make new collection, name it reference. Okay, go to front view and select the flame and make an edge loop by Ctrl R in the middle of the flame. Now delete the on-side vertices. Select these vertices in wireframe mode and extrude it like this and trace the half of the reference. In wireframe mode, which shortcut key is Shift C, select the upper 5 vertices and duplicate and scale it on x-axis by a factor of -1. Move it on x-axis, make the 4 vertices close to each other and select them and press M and merge by distance. Make sure you use in wireframe mode. Select the two faces and bridge them by right click loop tool and bridge. Select the upper faces and press X and delete the faces. Now select these edges that make close shape, press F and fillet. Now join the vertices to convert the selected and gone chord. Go to the backside and select all vertices that make the close shape and fillet by F. Make chords from the end gone, joining the vertices. Now join the vertices to convert the selected and gone to chords either by using the J key or using the knife tool, which shortcut key is K. Go to back side of the mesh, select all vertices that make the close shape and fillet by F. Make chords from the end gons by joining the vertices or using the knife tool. Also fill the edge loop on both sides and select all by A, press Shift N to recalculate the normal. Select all by A and press Shift N to recalculate the normal. Now press the comma key and make orientation as normal and extrude it. Then select the edge loop and press Ctrl F and grid fillet. Select the vertices and make cursor to selected by Shift S and now select these and make sure pivot point is set to 3D cursor by period key and press S to scale it on x-axis by 0. In wireframe view, in wireframe mode select these vertices and press the X key and delete the vertices. Then select all by A and make sure the pivot is set to 3D cursor and press Shift D to duplicate, then scale it on x-axis by -1. All by A and press Shift N to recalculate the normal. Now move the whole object to the position on y-axis. Then select the faces by Ctrl and Shift and extrude it on y-axis to the end of barrel and also move on z-axis. Okay, 10 edge loops by Ctrl R in the hand guard mesh. Go to object mode and shade it auto smooth and then apply the scale by Ctrl A. Okay, to model the ridges and grooves on the hand guard, which is called fake rail, to which the weapon accessories are attached, add a cube and in edit mode scale the whole object down and move it to the position. Now scale on y-axis a little to make it narrow and then scale off on x-axis as well. Move on y and z a little to the position. Select the bottom edges and bevel it by Ctrl B and in object mode shade it auto smooth and apply the scale. Select the cube first, then the hand guard mesh and press Ctrl- and in modifier setting switch from exact to past under the solver option. Okay, select the bool object and go to modifier section and add an array modifier to it. In the modifier setting, check the constant offset and make the x value on both equal to 0. Set the y value on y to 2 and then make the number of copies to something like 18 or whatever look best for you. Now select it and move to cutter collection by M. Add a circle, scale it down and rotate on y by 90 degree and move it on y axis. Go to side view by num key 3. Scale and place it here and scale it down like this. Position it and go to front view by 1. Move it on x axis toward the other object. Go to edit mode and press Ctrl F to grid fillet. Then select all vertices by pressing A and extrude on x-axis from side view. Position it, put object mode, shade it auto smooth and set origin to geometry. Move it on x-axis a little so that it passes the hand guard thickness. Select the circle object first, then the hand guard mesh and press Ctrl-. This will add a circular ventilation hole. Select the hand guard object and in the modifier setting switch the solver option from exact to path. Select the circular object and add an array modifier to it. Set the x value to 0 and y to 5 or whatever look good for you and increase the number of copies to save. Select the circular cutter and press Shift D to duplicate and make pivot point as 3D cursor. Make sure that 3D cursor is in the center of the hand guard. Then scale it on x-axis by -1 and select the circular object first, then the hand guard object and press Ctrl-. Add a flame by Shift A, mesh and flame, and go to edit mode by tab and scale it down and rotate it on y-axis by 90 degrees and position it between the two circular vent holes. Go to object mode and apply the scale. Select all vertices by A and bevel the vertices by Ctrl-Shift-B. Press X to delete only the faces and then select by A and press Ctrl-F in grid fillet. Now select by A and extrude it on x-axis, and then in object mode select it first, then hand guard mesh and press Ctrl-. And modifier setting, switch solver option from exact to fast. Select the cube and add an array modifier to it and check the constant offset option and set the x value of both to 0 and the y value of relative offset to something like 2.2 or whatever distance looks best for your. Select the rectangular mesh, duplicate it and scale on x-axis by -1. Select both the meshes by remembering the order and press Ctrl-. To make some more ventilation holes, add a circle and rotate it by 90 degrees. Then in edit mode, select all by A and press Ctrl-F in grid fillet. Now select these vertices on the corner and define the topology using the knife tool. Select these corner vertices and extrude it on y-axis, and with the knife tool convert these chords to tries and select all vertices by A. Extrude it on x-axis to give a thickness greater than the hand guard thickness. Go to object mode and shade it out smooth. Okay, now scale the mesh down and position it like this. Rotate it on y-axis and change orientation from global to normal and move the object on z-axis. Make sure to align it like this. Move it so it follows the hand guard thickness. See it from the side view. Align it in center of the side of the hand guard and select the hand guard object first, then the other object and press Ctrl-. Go to modifier setting, switch the solver option from exact to fast. Select the bool object and add an array modifier to it, and in the setting enable the constant offset and make the x value equals to 0 and y value to something like 1.3. Okay. Select the hand guard mesh and in edit mode select the loop and press Shift S to bring cursor to the selected and make pivot point as 3D cursor and select the bool object, duplicate it and rotate it by 90 degrees on y-axis. Select both the object by remembering the order and press Ctrl- and switch solver option from exact to fast in the modifier setting. Using pivot as 3D cursor, duplicate it and rotate by using the same method. Select the hand guard mesh and select the bottom faces like this. Go to front view and extrude it on z-axis. Go to edit mode of the hand guard object. Select these 4 faces on the back bottom side and extrude it, scale it down like this. Select the circular bool object and delete the array modifier and position it near the hand guard mesh. We will make 2 holes. Use the hole must not first the hand guard thickness. Duplicate and position it like this. Select both by remembering the order and select loop on hand guard and bring cursor to select it and duplicate it and scale it on x-axis by -1 and select both the screw holes and then hand guard object and press Ctrl-. Go to modifier setting and switch solver option from exact to fast. Select one of the hole object and duplicate it and move to the front side of the hand guard. Position it in the center and using pivot point as 3D cursor, duplicate the hole and flip it to the other opposite side. Select it and duplicate and rotate it to bring it to the bottom and then move it on Z to the position and go to edit mode and select all and rotate on y-axis like this. Position it on the angled face and from side view, move the object on y-axis to back and position it like this. Select both the object and press Ctrl-. Switch from exact to fast and modify setting and scale it a little. Duplicate it, move on Y, select both and press Ctrl-. Now select the hand guard object and go to edit mode and select this edge and press Shift S to bring cursor to select it. Go to object mode, select the 2 bool object and duplicate it and using the pivot point as 3D cursor, duplicate and flip it and on x-axis to the other side. Select both in the mesh and press Ctrl- and change the modified setting. So to add some more details, add a plane and rotate on x-axis by 90 degrees, then rotate it on z-axis by 90 degrees and scale it down. Make pivot as individual origin and scale it down. Move it on x-axis and then scale it on z-axis. Control A and apply the scale. Go to edit mode, select the 2 edges and bevel it by beveling the vertices by pressing Ctrl Shift. This is not Ctrl B, it's Ctrl Shift B for beveling vertices. Now press A and X and delete only the faces and then press A and Ctrl F and grid fillet. Okay, A to select all, then E to extrude and X to move it on x-axis. Move it so it doesn't force the hand guard thickness, half of the hand guard thickness I mean. and then select the edges that interact with the hand guard and bevel it in object mode and select the hand guard and plane object by considering the order of selection and press Ctrl minus. Now change modifier setting as well and also shade it out to smooth in object mode. Okay, select and using pivot point is 3D cursor, duplicate it and flip it to the other side by scaling it on y-axis by -1. Select both and press Ctrl minus, position it so it create cut that's half the thickness of the hand guard. One of it, duplicate it and move it on z-axis, rotate it on y and z by 90 degree and position it like. Select both by remembering the order of selection and press Ctrl minus and change modifier setting from exec to path. Okay. Select the whole object, duplicate it and move on z-axis and rotate it on y-axis so it's upside down and scale it a little and position it and the long ridge of here on one side of the line and then duplicate it, move on x-axis so there are two and select the whole, then the hand guard mesh and press Ctrl minus and repeat it for the other as well. Adding one more cut, select the object, duplicate it and move on z-axis, rotate it on y-axis so it's parallel to the hand guard face. Now press comma key, make orientation as normal and move the object on normal z-axis. Position it like this and select both by remembering the order and press Ctrl minus. Position it so it's not cross the hand guard thickness. Now go to solo mode and edit mode of the bool object and select the vertices or edges of this corner and move it on global Y so it's differ from the other. Now using pivot point, take the 3D cursor, duplicate and flip it on x-axis, position it and press Ctrl minus. If flipping disturbs its orientation, you can also rotate it and select both and press Ctrl minus and change modifier setting. Now to add screws to the holes, press Shift A, add a circle in edit mode, select all the vertices and press Ctrl F to grid fillet. Now select these vertices, slide it toward the other by pressing the G key twice, then move this. Now select these vertices, select it and now select the vertex and slide it toward the other by pressing double G, then move the other by sliding it toward the first one and do this for all 6 vertices that are in the same position, lies in the same plane on the circle. So select these faces, extrude it down on Z like this. Now with the knife tool, make edges here and select the loop, extrude it down on Z axis, then fillet by F, then press I to insert it and delete the faces using the X key. And now select the loop, extrude it down, then delete the face and grid fillet again. Okay, press 7 key to go to top view, make some more edges around here with the knife tool and go to select and select sharp edges, press Ctrl B and bevel it like this. In object mode, shade it out smooth and now position it in the wall on the rail using the G key and viewing from side, top and front view. Scale it a little, position it and then duplicate it to the other side. Select one of the screw, duplicate it, move it on x-axis, rotate it on y by 90 degree, move it on z-axis and x-axis and aligning it with the hole. Scale it down, then duplicate it and move on z to the other hole. Select both and using 3D cursor as pivot point, duplicate and flip it on x-axis by scaling both on x by -1. If there is offset, align both with the holes by moving it. Now change your orientation from global to normal and select one of the object and duplicate and move it on z-axis, rotate it on global y and then move it on normal z-axis and then position it in the hole and scale it up a little as well. Select it, duplicate it and move it on y-axis, position it in the second hole and then select both and using pivot point as 3D cursor, duplicate and flip it on x-axis. If the rotation is altered, make pivot point as individual origin and rotate it so it align with the holes. Okay, now select one of these objects, duplicate and move on y-axis and place it inside the hole and using pivot as 3D cursor, duplicate and flip it on x and place it in the other hole. Select the bool object and duplicate it and using pivot point as 3D cursor, rotate it on y-axis and move it to the top and then move it on z. Scale it a little and then select both and press Ctrl minus. Change the modifier setting from exec to fast and now it's done. Select the screw object and duplicate and rotate it on y by 90. Add a circle by Shift A, mesh circle and scale it down, rotate it on x by 90 and scale it down. This radius is a little more than parallel. And solo mode, select all by A, extrude and scale it. Select the 5 vertices on each side like this, then extrude it and leave, then press Alt S and scale it like this. Then select all by A and move on Y, extrude it and go to select and select only the sharp edges, bevel it, and in object mode shaded out smooth. Make orientation as global, select the muzzle object and apply all the modifiers, scale the muzzle down, move all the bool objects to the cutter collection to hide it. Finally, we have modeled the hand guard. Now let's move on to the front side. So to model the front side, add a plane by Shift A, move it on Z axis to this position and scale it down like this. Move it on Y axis to the front, then scale it down on X and also scale it down on Y and move it on Z axis to the position. Now press E and extrude on Z axis, position it like this, add 2 edge loops by Ctrl R, then select the faces and extrude it on Z axis. Now extrude again and move on Z axis. Press S to scale it on X axis and then press E and extrude it further on Z axis. Select the upper 8 vertices using the wireframe view and scale it on X, Y, and then go to edge mode by 2 and then go to select and select sharp edges, bevel them. Now shade it out smooth and apply the scale. Select the 2 edges and bevel them, and also bevel on the other side. Select the faces and press Shift D and press P to separate the selection. Now go to object mode, select and move it on X axis and Y axis a little. Select the face and extrude it on Y axis. Scale the object on Z axis as well. Now select the edge, bevel it by Ctrl B. Select both and press Ctrl minus. Switch from exec to post and modify solver option. Now go to edit mode of the object and add 2 or 3 loops to the mesh to make proportional faces. Now select the face, duplicate, then separate by selection. Now go to object mode, select and remove the bool modifier from it and set origin to geometry by left click. Then go to edit mode and select the faces, scale it, then inside mode, extrude it down on Z axis. Now select all by A, scale it on Y, and now go to object mode and apply the scale. In edit mode, bevel the edges, select both and press Ctrl minus and change modifier setting from exec to first in the solver option. If there is a shading issue, select the bool object, shade it out smooth. Now to add a cut in the middle, go to edit mode, select the faces, duplicate and press P to separate it by selection. Now select only it and remove all the bool modifiers. Move it to the position and select and scale it on X axis, then scale it on Y axis, move it on Z axis, then extrude it and scale it on Y so it passes through the object. Now select the upper edges and press Ctrl B and make the upper faces circular. Select the face and move on Y axis, apply the scale, select both and press Ctrl minus and change from exec to post in the modifier setting. Now go to edit mode of the object, select one of the faces and duplicate it and separate it by selection, then select only the new object and remove only the modifiers and select it in edit mode, scale it on X axis, then by Y and then extrude it down and then scale it and position it like this. Now select the bottom 2 edges and bevel them. Select the 2 edge loops, press Ctrl B and bevel them, bevel the other edges as well. Okay, go to edit mode of the object and duplicate and separate it. Select only it and separate by selection. Select only the new plane and remove all the modifiers. Scale it on X axis and Z axis like this and rotate on X axis and select the face and extrude it on normal Z and in object mode apply the scale and then scale both and press Ctrl minus. Select the 2 faces, duplicate it, separate by selection, then select only this and remove all the modifiers. Position it from the opposite side and select all vertices. Press Ctrl plus Shift plus B. Select these vertices and move it a little. Make a shift and then X and delete the faces and the middle edge as well. Then grid fillet and then select all and then extrude it on Y axis. Go to object mode and shade it out smooth and also apply the scale and select both by remembering the order and press Ctrl minus. Switch the solver option from exec to pass. Select the bool object and in object mode select the vertices, move it on Z axis. Go to edit mode, select the face, duplicate and separate it by pressing the P key and separate by selection. Now remove all modifiers, apply the scale by Ctrl A. Go to edit mode and select all by A, extrude it down on Z axis, then select and scale on X axis. Now in object mode, rotate it on X axis a little and then select both by first selecting the object in the cube and press Ctrl minus and change modifier setting from exec to pass. Now go to edit mode of the hand guard object and select the faces on front side of the mesh, duplicate it and press P to separate by selection, then select only it and remove all the modifiers in edit mode, extrude on y-axis and then apply the scale and select both and press Ctrl- and change the modifier setting. Hide all other except the front side object, edit spool objects and move them on y-axis. Now move the bool objects to the hidden collection, scale the whole object by selecting and moving the vertices apart from each other. Then add a cube, move it on Z, bevel the edges and then minus it from the mesh by using the bowl operations. Then duplicate it, move off here, make a small cut off here and then select all of the bool objects and move them to the cutter collection. Okay, now reveal the cutter collection and select the bool object, duplicate and flip to the other side and make it bool tool. Hide the cutter collection and object mode, add a cube, scale it down, position it like this and then scale it on Y and X and then add some edge loops. Select the four faces, make it a circle, then duplicate it and rotate it on x-axis by 90, subdivide it and then using the loop tool make a circle and set the faces and scale it on so it's a little uniform circle. Then extrude and move a few times to make a shape like this and add an edge loop, delete the vertices on this side, delete the vertices on the side, press Shift S to bring cursor to selected and using favorite font as 3D cursor, duplicate and scale it on Y by a factor of -1, i.e. flip that. Now join the circular object with the other and now select the bottom four faces of the circle and the other object. Okay, so that's it for Part 2. We have successfully modeled the handguard in the front side of our AR-15 rifle. In the next video, we will be moving on to the lure receiver. Thanks for watching and please subscribe to my channel. Follow me on other platforms as well. Links to them are in the description below. Your support helps me create more contents and I appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next part of our AR-15 modeling tutorial.